Researchers carefully conserve an Osiris statuette found within the favissa. It's possible the statue of the god Ptah was placed with the Osiris statuettes because Osiris was the god of rebirth. Credit copyright J. Mockert Feetnrismoa copyright antiquity. After years of being washed, perfumed and fed in ancient Egypt, the statue of a revered Egyptian deity was given a proper burial with other dead statues more than 2,000 years ago, a new study finds. Ancient Egyptians buried the statue of the deity Ptah, the god of craftsmen and sculptors, with other revered statues, including those of a sphinx, baboon, cat, Osiris, and Mut, in a pit next to Ptah's temple. The statue of Ptah had likely sat in the temple for years, but it and the other sacred objects were respectfully buried after they accumulated damage and were declared useless by the ancient Egyptians, the researchers said. See photos of the Ptah, Sphinx and other statues. We can consider that when a new statue was erected in the temple, this one of Ptah was set aside in a pit, said study co-researcher Christophe Thiers, director of the French-Egyptian Center for the Study of the Temples of Karnak. The other artifacts were also previously damaged during their lifetime in the temple, and then they were buried with the Ptah statue. Archaeologists discovered the pit in December 2014 at Karnak, an Egyptian temple precinct, and spent about a month excavating its rich assemblage. The pit held 38 objects, including 14 statuettes and figurines of Osiris, 11 fragments of inlay from statues. The inlay included that of an iris, a cornea, a false beard, a cap, a strand of hair and an inlay plaque. 3 baboon statuettes representing the god Thoth. 2 statuettes of the goddess Mut, one with hieroglyphic inscriptions. 2 unidentified statuette bases. 1 head and 1 fragmentary statuette of a cat bastet. 1 small fragmentary fay and stela stone slab recording the name of the god Ptah. 1 head of a statuette of a man in gilded limestone. 1 lower part of a statue of the seated god Ptah, sawn and repaired. 1 sphinx. 1 unidentified metal piece. The favissa contained 38 objects, including starting at the top left and going clockwise a male head made of gilded limestone, the lower part of the limestone statue of the god Ptah, a statuette of Osiris and a limestone sphinx. Credit copyright J. Mockert Feetnrismoa copyright antiquity. It appeared that the artifacts were buried in a certain order. After digging the pit, also known as a favissa, a cache of sacred objects that are no longer in use, the ancient Egyptians would have put down the lower part of Ptah's limestone statue. The statue is large, and it probably took 2 to 3 people to carry it, the researchers said. Next to the statue, the Egyptians would have placed a wooden effigy of the god Osiris that had metal applique, including a beard and 2 feathers in its crown. Then, the other artifacts would have been distributed around these 2 artifacts, which were then covered with about 8 inches 20 centimeters of backfill. This is where the ancient Egyptians placed a statue of a small limestone sphinx. The pit was then covered with more backfill. At the top, the Egyptians placed a small male head made of gilded limestone, likely for protection, the researchers said. The objects were made at different times, the researchers found. The statue of Ptah dates to the New Kingdom. The style of the Sphinx supports a late Ptolemaic date, and the gilded head dates to the early Ptolemaic period, the researchers said. However, by studying the site's rock layers, the researchers found that the artifacts were buried by the temple's priests during the second half of the Ptolemaic period, between the 2nd century BC and the middle of the 1st century BC, the researchers wrote in the study. 7 amazing archaeological discoveries from Egypt. The vast number of buried Osiris figurines and statues intrigue the archaeologists. Osiris was the god of fertility and of the dead in the underworld, but also of rebirth. It's possible the priests placed Osiris with Ptah because of his role in rebirth and regeneration, the researchers said. Ptah is waiting for rebirth, study lead researcher Guillaume Charlot, and archaeologist with the French-Egyptian Center for the Study of the Temples of Karnak, told Live Science. It's protected by the Sphinx. It's surrounded by the Osiris statues. We have the feeling here that it's waiting for rebirth, like mummies of pharaohs. The study was published online today, September 21, in the journal Antiquity. Original article on Live Science.